They called it innovation. The world's first fully electronic open access toll highway. No booths, no stopping, no friction, just motion. But for millions of Ontarians, the 407 isn't freedom. It's a rolling invoice. A 108-kilometer monument to what happens when the government sells tomorrow to survive today. In 1999, Ontario leased Highway 407 for 99 years. The price? $3.1 billion. At the time, it was pitched as smart economics, debt reduction, fiscal responsibility, modern infrastructure. But here's the problem with short-term political math. Time compounds. Today, the same highway is estimated to be worth more than $30 billion. The tolls generate hundreds of millions every quarter. Drivers pay some of the highest roadway costs in North America just to escape congestion created by the public system beside it. And the irony becomes almost impossible to ignore. The public built the road. The public sold the road. And now the public pays private investors to use that road. Except investors aren't just foreign anymore. Your pension fund owns it too. The Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board now controls over 50% of the highway, meaning Canadians are trapped inside one of the strangest economic loops ever created. You pay tolls to help fund your retirement because your retirement fund owns the toll road you already paid taxes to build. This isn't just about traffic anymore. It's about a country monetizing access to itself. Because one public infrastructure becomes a permanent profit engine, citizens stop being owners and they start becoming customers. Tonight, we ask the uncomfortable question: did Ontario solve a budget problem in 1999 or create a 99-year extraction machine that Canadians can never escape?
Driving and commuting in the 400 series highway in Southern Ontario is amongst the most painful exercises you will find. I would rank it with the pain of the Los Angeles freeway that you see, the multi-lane freeway in Los Angeles and the major highways around the world, but nothing can compare to the out-and-out daily congestion at all times of the day. Even on weekends and holidays, there are jams on the 400 and the 404 and the 401 and every highway, and trying to get from one part of the city to the other for work or for family or for recreation and entertainment purposes is getting worse and worse. It's the largest urban area in the country, and it has some of the worst traffic grid in North America, among the very worst.
Well, Jim, so we see a lot of two-lane highways up north, right? Northern Ontario, everything referencing Highway 11, which is one of the most dangerous highways in the entire country, all the way down to the 401 in Southern Ontario. It's a mess. Our infrastructure has always been a mess.
Get on the Highway 102 in Nova Scotia from the airport to Truro.
I don't remember, or I don't know if you remember, 6 months ago, I had a thing over on top of my desk of infrastructure, comparably from the U.S. to Canada and Europe. So we're 75 years behind Europe at that time, as of last year, and 35 to 40 years behind the United States just in terms of infrastructure. Okay,
like I've driven from Nova Scotia, from Newfoundland, basically every province in the country. There's not one province in Canada, Brady, that you can't find an issue with the roads and transportation system that is immediate need of upgrade. So not one.
So if we all agree that the infrastructure, even from the statistics standpoint, we're behind. Okay, push that off to the side. So we're not gonna complain about infrastructure. Okay, that's a completely different show.
Yeah.
What we're gonna complain about is the cost of the 407, the ridiculous deal that was done, which I had laid out in my opening monologue, and now where we're at in 2026, over 30 years later, this thing has been built, it's there, and it seems like this is a luxury item at this point.
Okay, but time is money.
Time is money.
And so every day when I leave our studio and I head home north of Toronto, I have no choice. If I don't take the 407 for a couple exits to get to another highway, I'll add 45 minutes to my drive by going down to the 401 because it's so bad during the day. And that's part of the problem for millions of people in Southern Ontario. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet, pay the 407 toll fees. Otherwise, you may not get to something on time or be stuck in traffic, or it's a risk. You are gambling.
You are.
With your time every time you get on the 401.
And that's part of the business plan. As we were breaking this down, that's part of the business plan. The stress of looking at, can you just save 45 minutes to get home a little bit earlier, to have a little bit more time to yourself, or to get to that next appointment that you're supposed to be at?
Right.
They're hoping that you're stressed out. They're hoping the 401, and this is in terms of the people who own the 407 right now, they're hoping that you're stressed out and that you're going to bite the bullet and pay the fee to get on here.
I don't know, for people in other parts of Canada who've never been on one.
Yeah.
The 401 is the busiest stretch of highway in the country.
Yes.
And it runs from busy from east to Oshawa on the east end all the way to Milton on the west end, through the busiest corridor of driving in the city.
And it used to have something called rush hour. Now there is no such thing as rush hour.
Rush hour.
It's always rush hour.
So, and that's commuters and people driving on vacation and tractor trailers and logistics and go buses and you every vehicle you think of is on there at all times, every time, going as fast as they can to get there because everyone's in such a hurry.
Okay, so we've laid out infrastructure's pushed over here. Now our anger for the 407, we've somewhat justified it a little bit. But let's before we get too crazy and we start breaking down every one of our specific anger points, let's talk about why the 407 was created and the reason why the 407 seemed like it used to be a really good idea and where we got to 30-something years later.
Well, it's built north of the city, north of Steeles Avenue, in what's called the 905, and that's the suburbs. That's the Peel region, York region, Durham region suburbs. So almost a ring highway. And if you go to Regina and Edmonton and Calgary and a lot of cities and Winnipeg, a lot of cities across Canada, they have something called a ring highway.
Yeah.
And instead of spending all day stuck in traffic, you can hop on the ring highway, get to one of the 4 quadrants of whatever city you are in Canada and get to where you want to go. It's way more efficient. It's less congestion, less stuck in traffic. But with Toronto, they had never had anything like that. So they thought, let's build like almost a horseshoe ring highway around Toronto, bypass the nonsense that's the 401, and keep people moving and build an area because they knew there was going to be more growth north of the city, more access for people to drive.
So it started as a plan to basically alleviate traffic inside of the GTA and the surrounding areas.
100%.
And then it got extended.
Big time.
It's been extended all the way out to Niagara Falls.
Yes.
Right. And how far north does it go? Just past Peterborough, right? Or just up to Peterborough?
East to the 115.
Okay. So we've expanded this thing. The property, the original property that this was built on. Do you know who owned that property? It was a collective of people, but
I actually don't. I thought it was just landowners and farmers and whatnot that owned the property.
It was, and that's the collective. And then it felt like a lot of that land kind of got backdoor sold.
Okay.
So I have a friend who, and I'm not going to out their name because I don't want to get them in trouble with this stuff. I don't know if a lot of this is public or not, but from my own sources, I know someone that used to own a good chunk of that land through family. And it was completely kind of donated and given away
to the 407
from their end. No, that was some family stuff. They didn't want to leave,
so they owned it.
They owned a good chunk of that land.
Okay.
And it got kind of donated. So I know that there were some weird deals on how the land was acquired, but let's just say the land was acquired and it was acquired legally and perfectly. And everybody spent the money that they needed to spend. They built this highway out. And to alleviate stress on the 401, the 403, the 427, anything that seemed like it was getting congested. Hopefully, if we open up this 407, this will alleviate the congestion. And it did. I remember as a kid, I had just started working. I was young. I was born in 84. So by the time 94, 95 came around, I seen the use for something like this. I was in the car, in the back seat, way too much.
And it made things a lot easier to get somewhere.
And it was affordable. And that's the word that I'm going to keep using throughout this show. Affordable.
At the beginning, the toll rates were very reasonable.
Very reasonable. And this is before the transponders. This was just going off your license plate.
That's right.
Then it started to get a little expensive. So we figured, okay, if you're a regular 407 user, we're going to give you a transponder, which is going to give you some discounts. It's going to give you some kind of, basically you're acquiring points.
And you hear a beep because it's electronically scanned.
Yeah.
So when you get off your exit, you'll hear 3 beeps knowing that it noted your travel time and how far and how many exits you went.
So it used to be affordable. You could get from one end to the other end without feeling like you actually took a chunk out of your paycheck for the day.
So when you got your 407 bill every month, it was like, oh, okay.
A couple $100, maybe $400 if you're using it a lot.
But it wasn't painful.
It wasn't painful. It didn't feel like a mortgage payment. It didn't feel like a rental payment, right? And this is where we're at now, where these are exceeding. Some of these people that are using the 407 are all around Toronto. It's exceeding their rent payments.
Well, I mean, right now, it wouldn't be unusual for someone to spend $400 to $500 on a week traveling in the 407 for work and family purposes.
Yeah.
That's not unusual. A week.
Yeah.
And you add that in a month, that adds up. I mean, there was a story in Southern Ontario recently, a woman, I think it was well over $1,500 for 1 month.
$1,700.
$1,700 for 1 month of toll fees on the 407.
And that was a viral story around the nation a couple of weeks back. And it's what we were planning on doing a 407 talk for a while now, and it just didn't seem like it was the right time. Well, now it's the right time, because now this is a national story of people on the West Coast. I could only imagine them opening up that article and seeing, what do you mean $1,700 to drive on a highway per month? What are the people in Toronto doing?
My sister-in-law used to live in New Jersey, and it's all toll highways in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, but their toll rates are a fraction.
It's not $1,700. It's $1.25, some $3 here and there.
It's so much cheaper. And
wild guess of what this works out per kilometer right now. For the rate of the 407, what it works out to per kilometer, the average? Because certain parts of the 407 cost more than others.
Is it $1 something?
It's $1.
Yeah.
We're looking at $1, $1 to $1.25, depending, as the average.
Which is way, way too much.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Well, a company and the Canadian Pension Plan, who own the 407, are making money.
And I brought that up in the opening monologue, and we'll break that down as to how that happened. So anybody who's an economic expert or an infrastructure expert says that this deal that Canada did over these past 30 years, and we'll explain the deal that actually happened, would be a deal that you would never want a government to make in the first place, nor would you ever let a government make that deal again.
Now, this was not the federal government. This was, at the time, the very controversial Premier Mike Harris, who did make a lot of friends in Ontario with his way he governed the province, but that was his great deal. And at the time, in 1999, the province made just over $3 billion for selling the highway, and money that was used for different things for the province. And at the time, he was trying to sell it to the people as, what a great deal for Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And what a great deal for Ontario. We just made over $3 billion selling this highway.
$3.1 billion in 1999. The problem is they never accounted for inflation or time
or
is
population growth.
Yeah, time compounding.
So now the market value, if you were to buy the 407 now, would cost $35 billion. It's gone up 12 times.
Even some estimates as high as 38.
Yeah. So it's 12 times the value as when the province sold it.
Yeah.
12 times.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an economics expert. Hell, I'm not even a highway expert. But I know a bad deal when I hear one.
Right.
Right. And in 1999, you can't tell me, well, we didn't know the future. No, you have a rough idea that this is not a great idea. If this thing's only projected to generate $3 billion in 1999, why would you only pay 3.1 for it? That's not business.
And as a matter of fact, in the mid to late 1990s, before the sale, a lot of the municipal mayors in different pockets of the province of Ontario got together with the premiers at the time, from Bob Ray to Mike Harris, and government officials, and they did long-term growth projections, looking ahead 15, 20, 25 years, identifying pockets of the province that they knew were going to grow. They knew needed infrastructure, and they knew needed highways. So they knew in 1999 that the Clarington, Oshawa area, the East Gwillimbury, North York region, the Milton, Georgetown area were all going to grow huge.
Yep.
And so
they had all these plans, these 30, 40-year plans to build suburbs and whatnot, but they never took into account that the highway would be.
So they could have easily asked for $10 billion in 1999 and still would have been a deal.
I'm not going to say it sounded like some sort of backdoor plan. You can't, because that's easy to do and be like, oh, well, somebody obviously knew and they did some. No, that's not what it is. I think this was just really bad planning, right? And we can break down bad negotiating, bad planning, and bad projections of what the actual future could bring in Canada, which seems to be a recurring theme here.
So now the upside, the upshot of all of this is
there's an upside.
Well, not an upside. It's the result of this.
Yeah.
Is the highway system in Southern Ontario is almost untenable. The 401 is so clogged with heavy trucks trying to get through the city to avoid tolls that sometimes it's hairy when you're driving on that 401 through the city, and it's chewing up the roads to no end. Now, Marit Stiles, the Ontario leader of the NDP, doesn't have great ideas all the time, but she has one great idea that's long overdue. For the love of God, and I broke down the math, make it free for heavy trucks to use the 407. It would cost Ontario $250 million a year to pay for all the heavy trucks to bypass the 401. However, There's a proposed Highway 413 that Doug Ford in the province wants to build that will probably cost $18 billion. That's 72 years worth of trips for those heavy trucks up and down the 407 to get off the 401.
So you're saying don't build that highway, just give the 407 to the trucks.
But we'll pay for it, but make it free for all the heavy trucks, all the tractor trailers, all the ones who are going from the east end of Ontario and they're heading for Kitchener, Waterloo, or the Windsor border, or the other way are heading for Ottawa or Montreal. Make it free for them to use the 407, get off the 401. That would make a huge difference.
So if the 407, let's say we put all the trucks on there,
yes,
citizens still have access to it as well?
Absolutely. But no, I'll gladly pay. I mean, they're going to pay for the trucks. I'll gladly pay for my 407.
Who's paying for the trucks?
The province is.
Okay, so the taxpayer.
The taxpayer.
The taxpayer is going to pay for the trucks.
I mean, otherwise we're paying $18 billion to build the 413.
Yeah.
That's going to the price tag of that highway.
Is there, I guess, because I'm already looking at this thing as a whole big mess. And if we were to add, yes, I would love to free up the 401 and the 407 and the 427, or the 403. Everyone would love to do that and put these guys on the 407. I still feel like this is costing taxpayers more dollars than it needs to.
I think the taxpayers of the province have been screwed over so much in the last 25 plus years.
Yeah.
This is the best of a bad deal. But I mean, it's still not ideal, Brady.
Yeah, but we've been screwed over twice on this thing. Are we going to do it a third time?
But okay, what's the alternative? Status quo. Keep the rates the way they are. Keep the 401 being chewed to nothing because they're on the 401 every day. Complete gridlock on the major highways, as you said, throughout the Southern Ontario area every day because they're avoiding the tolls on the 407. And then Doug Ford talking about building an $18 billion highway from the 400 to the 401 called the 413 highway.
Well, I'm happy that you're coming up with solutions for it, because the one thing that I couldn't do for the past week after looking at all of this was come up with a solution of how to fix it. I don't know if it's just me being weak-minded or if this is such a mess that you need a team of people to come in here and try and...
Yes, right. So
something needs to be done.
So this is just me
going this way,
coming up with my own little idea. But you can't tell me that logistics experts and transportation experts and people that do this and have got PhDs in this can't get together and come up with a solution that will be more efficient and work for more people than what we're doing right now. Because what's the old thing? You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different result. That's insanity.
Okay, so if every quarter we're averaging 491 million in revenue, let's just say 500 just to round it up.
Yeah. That's $2 billion a year.
Yeah, we're doing $2 billion a year. I think that if you did this, that number is going to drop because you're not going to see as many civilians going on there, because not only can they use the 401 now, it's not as congested, but you're also going to see people not wanting to get stuck in the gridlock of being inside of these trucks. People driving on the highway in the 401, one of the biggest scares that they have
is like you're boxed in with all these massive trucks.
You're boxed in and then wind.
Oh,
right. You see these trucks moving,
and in the winter
it's really bad.
So
let's say just to be fair, we're going to lose 100 million. Right, off of that quarterly price.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to lose 400 million a year off of that 2 billion. So we're looking at 1.6. How long would it take for us to get ourselves out of the hole?
Right now, it's as far as getting out of the financial hole, I have no idea. But I do know that if we do something to make it free for tractor trailers and heavy trucks to use the 407, we can get out of this endless hamster wheel of infrastructure. Because every 2 or 3 years, not only is the 401 jam with people and trucks and cars, they have to do heavy construction to fix it.
And I agree with you. That helps the civilian, right? So the civilian gets a little bit of a break here. And thank you, right? Like
you could use one.
Individuals need a break. We definitely do in this country. But what does this do for Ontario and the debt, and where we are now in a zone where the Canadian Pension Fund owns 50% of this, which I said in the opening monologue? We have paid for this to be built with tax dollars.
Yeah.
We are now paying out our tuckuses to ride the thing.
Yeah.
Just to reinvest back into our own pension fund.
Brady, as far as getting Ontario out of debt, that is way above my pay grade. Like I'm just dealing
But
with.
this is part of the debt, though. This is a big part of the Ontario debt.
Yeah. Okay. So the debt is different levels. It's this debt.
Yeah.
And then it's the debt of hiring contractors to fix the 401 every 2 and 3 years. And there's the debt of people losing dozens of hours every week of productivity because they're stuck in traffic. And the mental health wear and the wear on the cars and the pollution and then the debt on the environment. So there's multiple layers to the debt, Brady. And that's my concern. If we can get the trucks off the 401, get them on the 407. I think Mart Stiles is a great idea. Things are moving a lot. You're saving 15, 20, 25 minutes on your commute. That's huge, especially in this part of the country. It's huge.
So the Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board, there's 780 billion assets under management. Liability estimate is 1.86 trillion.
Yeah.
That's from the Fraser Institute.
Yeah.
I don't understand, and I don't think I ever will, why the Canadian Pension Investment Board is involved in this. I don't understand why we're going to take those. Why?
They buy things that make money.
Yeah, I know, but
This makes money.
This is short-term money.
But for the last number of years, you want to talk about a sure thing for the pension plan. It's been investing on the tolls in the 407. Right? The tolls have not went.
Wow, this is really messed up because, like I said, we're taking care of the civilian, but we're screwing the population at the same time. So it looks like we're taking care of the individual, but the individual is still paying $1,700 a month.
Yeah, the CPP is there to make money for the pension plan of Canadians, and they're looking at the 407 as something that consistently makes money every year. The population of Southern Ontario is not going down. The rates on the tolls are not going down. Of course they're going to invest because they're making the pension money every year.
Producer Nick, I'll check back in with you in 5 minutes, but can you somewhat come up with an alternative solution just so we have two different ones that I can choose from? Thank you. Okay, because like I said, I don't know if I know that there was people lobbying this back in the day, saying, "Do not buy this thing. Like this is not a good idea." Or sorry, do not sell this thing.
Don't sell it.
Not a good idea.
They were on the rooftop, like, don't do it.
Screaming. We've had numerous articles. We've had mini documentaries put out. Everything from
Professors did
CBC.
whole thesis papers on it.
Professors at universities have put theses together. There has been more people screaming that this thing is a mess and please get it under control. And it's still going on 30 years later.
Okay, but here's the problem, Brady. You think about when they sold it,
Yeah.
and how long they haven't owned it. There's no chance that Ontario or the federal government have the money to buy it back.
But we can't buy it back. We'd have to buy it back at the dollar that it's worth today.
Right, because they're carrying so much debt. So, okay, let's come up with a solution.
Which is worth way more than the 30 billion or 38 billion that we've estimated.
But maybe if you put heavy trucks and tractor trailers on the 407 for free, you're not rebuilding the 401 every 3 years. Maybe it's every 10 to 12 years. And maybe people aren't spending 45 minutes to an hour trying to commute in the 401. We've cut 15 or 20 minutes each way off their drive. To me, that's huge.
So how does a truck qualify to be free? Is this done through a transponder and
The
they
one
just
thing
weight
I've
the
read,
bills?
it's the weight. So
It's the weight.
5,000 kilograms and over that you would qualify as a heavy truck to be able. So like the big trucks, the big tractor trailers, the big heavy hauling, the flatbeds with cranes and excavators on it. All the ones that, like you say, you get boxed into the 401, your white knuckle, they'd be on the 407.
Okay, so we have the year increase in trends, the 5-year freeze. What do you know about the 5-year freeze?
I don't know.
So the 5-year freeze, rates remain static during the pandemic and its aftermath due to lower track volumes and contractual agreements with the province. Right. So the 2025 reset came in after that. The toll increased for the first time in a half a decade, with per kilometer rates jumping up 3 to 14 cents.
That's a big jump.
That's a huge jump.
So why wouldn't the CPP want to be part of it?
But that's before the spike. So the 2026 spike this year saw a much more aggressive increase in some central zones, like a stretch through North York and Vaughan. Rates increased as much as 34 cents per kilometer.
And that's one of the busiest stretches of the highway.
And that's during the afternoon rush hour. So they've not only done it by the area that it's in, but the time.
So for people who don't know, have never been to this part of the country, that takes you from the 404 to the 400. The two major north-south corridors in Southern Ontario has the highest rate.
Yeah.
because that's where people are trying to get somewhere.
Did you ever go on the 407? You probably did, because it was years here. Did you ever go on the 407 during the pandemic?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever go on the 401 during the pandemic?
Yes, I did.
The 403?
Basically every highway.
427?
Yeah.
Remember how beautiful that was?
It was like Kramer with the empty highway in Steinfeld. It was awesome.
It felt gross because it almost felt like a ghost town. Like every time you were driving down it, you were like, those apocalyptic movies where you're alone on the highway? That's what it felt like. A
it's
Walking
kind of,
Dead or the Fallout or whatever it is, right?
World War Z. Yeah, kind of freaked out here.
Yeah, the Book of Eli or something. It's just these empty highways. And it was beautiful, but it wasn't realistic. And they must have lost a good chunk of money. So I can't see this just being because inflation's going up and because we got to raise the cost of this thing to make more money for the pension. I think it was like, holy crap, we lost like 2 years worth of dollars here. We need to make up for this thing.
And by the way, the heavy trucks, they get charged 338 cents per kilometer.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, actually.
Here,
that's a
per kilometer rate for a higher or much higher for heavy trucks and multi-unit trucks during peak times. Get rid of that. Get them off the 401. There's all the other ancillary highways are jammed with trucks trying to avoid that cost, because obviously if you're an owner operator or you're a company, you can't pay that. Okay. It's too much.
So I went.
Oh, Nick, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Nick, what do you got?
So some solutions. So invest in transit. So find other public transit solutions to get congestion down. I like that solution.
Yeah, I don't think, but again,
look at you.
They're always, but Nick, I will say this, I agree, but we're always in this country 10, 15 years behind where we should be. We're trying to play catch up all the time.
I don't know if you gentlemen have been on the GO train recently. My goodness, keep the 407 going.
I was on the subway Saturday night. TTC was
mess. What a mess.
Keep going, Nick.
GO train is.
So other one was congestion pricing, changing pricing in regards to demand.
Yeah.
Better crash clearance. This is a serious issue with clearing crash cars, things like that. But here's the real big brain solution, guys. Tunnel underneath the 401.
You're
tunnel.
not for that, are you?
No, I'm joking. This was
that's it. Okay, for people, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, has floated the idea of building an express tunnel on the 401 from Mississauga to, I think, Pickering. And the cost of it, no one could even fathom how much it would ever cost. We can't even put an extra lane in a highway now in due order. How are we going to build a tunnel?
This sounds like the tunnel under the ocean that Elon wanted to build. Remember, he was going to build a highway under the ocean.
Yes.
Now, mind you, the project and the PowerPoint looked great. I watched the whole presentation on it. It looked amazing, but we're not there yet. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you for the tunnel. I forgot about that.
But I think you're in the same spot we're in, which is my confusion and frustration through this episode. There is no good answer here. This is a 99-year lease.
So, all right. So if you can't get out of it, then you're
not getting out of it.
So, all right. Then you have to. All right. So,
you're not even going to buy your way out of it, Jim, because the number is absurd.
Then pay for the heavy trucks. The lease is the lease. Right. Pay for the heavy trucks. Bite the bullet. Forget building the 413. Take that money you were going to use that. You've got 7 decades of heavy trucks paid for on the 407. So to me, it's the only way.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this was more of a political timing thing, right? I think Premier Mike Harris at the time did something that was a political move, where they weren't really breaking this down for the long-term thing. It was a quick solution. It was short-term cash. Well, to say, hey guys, look I just made us $3 billion here as the premier, and I did it in an afternoon. Ha ha ha! Look at me. But no one thought about 30 years later where you were like, dude, you just did one of the worst.
Guess what the irony of all that is, Brady? His whole thing was the common sense revolution. That's how we got elected as premier. The common sense revolution. We're going to bring common sense back to Ontario, but they didn't use common sense when they sold the 407.
So should we be lighting the torches and grabbing the pitchforks and going on the anti-Mike Harris campaign still?
No, the teachers of Ontario still they've got that. We don't have to do anything.
So now we're basically left to deal with it. Like every other decision that's been made that seems to be leaving us in a long-term problem. You may be right.
But okay, we just did a show, Mike and I talking about war rooms and planning and brainstorming. We actually do need to check your ego at the door and bring nonpartisan politics, different parties, academics, logistics people who use it all the time. Let's come up with a plan that can work for everybody, that works for everybody and gets trucks off the 401 and maybe brings the cost down and maybe makes things move more smoothly and also is tied into more transit, more options for people. A lot of the times people are using highways in Southern Ontario because they don't have another option to get from home to work.
And I like how you said leave the ego at the door. Let's get the people that are the most qualified to go into a war room to sit down and have this discussion about this problem or any sort of problem when it comes to infrastructure or any sort of issue that we've got going on in individual provinces. But the one thing that they're going to leave with the ego is leave your political belief system there as well.
Right. So if Marit Stiles in the NDP has an idea, don't just, get rid of it because she's with the NDP. Listen
I'm going to
to
throw
people.
my pen too,
Sorry,
just because.
Yeah, sorry. Actually listen to people with ideas. If someone's a professor, if someone maybe is not your political slant and is coming at it from a whole wacky way, well, maybe actually listen to what they say. They may have something to provide to this idea, to this debate that could help.
How did Canadians end up paying their own pension fund to drive on their own highway?
Because that's a Canadian thing. That is the most Canadian thing ever, Brady. The most Canadian tax thing ever. When we say we're overtaxed, we pay the toll every day, yet then they're paying it to our own pension plan.
Well, the answer is technically a paradox because the CPP Investments acquired a controlling stake in the 407, meaning one of the Canada's largest public retirement funds profits directly from toll revenue. In theory, Canadians benefit as a pension contributors, but in practice, commuters feel like they're financing their retirement through daily roadway fees. It transforms mobility into a recurring extraction system.
The pension plans are there for pure profit. Once upon a time, the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan owned a huge stake of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they own Maple Leaf Gardens, and
they sold it for a fabulous profit.
Yeah.
So the Teachers Pension Plan in the province of Ontario made out like gangbusters when they sold their share to Bell Media and Rogers Media. So the Canadian Pension Plan at one time will take a look at this, and when they think they've maxed out the profits, we'll sell that to someone else. But as far as Canadians for our pension plan, I mean, it sucks for people driving every day, but for people in other provinces, they're like, yeah, Toronto, keep driving because we're making money in our pension.
Just another one of those things for the boomers who are already retired to profit off of.
From month into Moose Jaw, they're celebrating. This is great.
Goodness. Okay, the 99-year lock. Why can't Ontario just take the highway back, Jim?
Because they'd have to pay for it.
Nah, that's why.
Because the cost they sold it is a fraction of what whoever would sell it is not going to sell it for the valuation. They're probably going to sell it for more, thinking it's not going to go down in value.
Okay, well, tell me what better fits the definition of the 407? Is transportation infrastructure or investment product?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd say right now it's an investment product. Because the CPP, yes, of course it's transportation, it's a highway, but it's making the pension plan so much money.
What changes when infrastructure is run like a corporation instead of a public service, Jim?
They only care about profit. They don't care about the people.
100% priority shift. It's all about profit. Gridlock dependency. Does congestion on the 401 actually increase the value of the 407? I think we've kind of proven that.
Yep.
And their business has proven that. They hope that you're stressed out. They want the 401. Maybe the Canadian pension group is the ones putting all those trucks parked on the side of the road.
So you go to your Apple Maps and you have to get somewhere for work, for family reasons, for whatever reason, and it gives you the option, right? It gives you the toll option.
My Uber gives me the option.
And then you realize, wait a sec, it's going to be another 40 minutes if I don't pay the toll. I don't have another 40 minutes.
Do you know how many times I've heard, hey, sir, are we taking the 407? And I'm like, I guess we are, buddy.
Right. Otherwise, you'll never get anywhere.
Otherwise, I'm living with you in this armpit stew of an Uber for the next 3 hours, right? Okay, so the bigger Canadian pattern, is the 407 an isolated case or part of a larger trend?
I hope it's isolated. I haven't seen any examples like this in other parts of the country.
So many analysts are seeing it as part of a broader shift towards monetizing public assets, airports, utilities, parking systems, bridges, healthcare services, and even data infrastructure increasingly operate through public, private financial models. The 407 became an early blueprint for converting public necessity into long-term revenue streams. These analysts are saying that this is the way the country's going.
And let's face it, I was remiss by giving my answer because Mark Carney has stated a number of times they're seriously looking at privatizing the airports of the country. That means you would say, Brady and Jim Incorporated, here's the price tag to buy the Regina Airport or the Halifax Airport. You would run it now for profit.
I guarantee the boys are probably already planning something for the next couple of weeks on this too, but they're really talking about doing privatizing healthcare as well, having two different types of healthcare. OHIP and then another privatization. Like they're really starting to kind of bring this up in these back rooms, apparently.
Oh, that is
I don't want to see this happening, but I think this may be right, that this is a bigger pattern that's going on inside of our country. We're starting to have to pay for things that used to be public services.
Okay, so you see how the headaches involved with the 407 every day for people. Imagine the airport in your city in Canada run by the ABC Corporation from name the country, and they have a bit of a labor issue on the Friday of a long weekend going into the holidays, and it's a work to rule, they're short staff, and you're missing your flight. Because that's the first thing that happens. It's bad enough now in Canada. Imagine if it's run by a private company.
And it's funny because I know a few people that have flown this week, and they just said they're like, domestic it is an animal house right now because no one's flying internationally right now from Canada. It's too expensive and whatever else is going on. But
I have to fly to Halifax in a couple of weeks. I'm already like,
the airports don't need any more headaches. You add something like this, and it's going to be even worse. Okay, and then the last one I'll ask you about is the pension time bomb. Why does the CPP ownership make this politically complicated?
Well, because our aging population, the stress on the pension, and as a matter of fact, this has been sort of intimated by Mark Carney and his team with the Liberals that they would like to use the pension money for investment, for the wealth fund, for different things. So it used to be that was taboo. You would never, ever touch the money in the Canadian pension plan. Whatever government, how you were running it with this, but never that. And now Carney's peeling back the layers and go, you know what? I think we can use that for things. And that could be a dangerous road to go down because that if we lose that, for a lot of Canadians, they lose everything.
The reason why I would consider this being a time bomb is because Canadians are simultaneously the customers, the investors, and the resource group here. Right? That's not good. This will eventually eat itself.
With the highway?
The political pressure group, right? So you're a political pressure group, you're a customer, and you're the original investor in the product.
Right.
Those three things shouldn't really.
I know what you're saying,
other.
but this is only affecting the people in Southern Ontario. From anywhere in other parts of the country, it's your CPP is gaining money from the profit of this, but you don't use it.
Well, it probably makes our friends in Alberta a little happy because when we were out there, they're like, Ottawa, Ontario, you're screwing us. Well, maybe we're not.
So you could be in any province in the country. You'll never use the 407, but you'll benefit from it.
You're going to benefit from it. Well, you got closing thoughts on this because I'm still angry. And I'll be brutally honest here. I don't drive on the 407 anymore. I don't even drive on the 401. Hell, I do not drive in Ontario. I try not to drive at all.
I'm on the 401 and the 407 and the 400 and the 404, unfortunately, every day for work, for family, for leisure. I'm on the highways all the time. But this is part of a bigger trend happening to me in North America and in Canada. Mm-hmm. It's called the Public-Private Consortium. Yeah. And that was the whole thing with the Eglinton Crosstown. And look how way over budget, way past schedule. And a lot of governments figure if I can get the Brady and Nick Corporation to work with us, it'll be less taxpayer dollars. They'll benefit. It's win-win.
Well, we just registered the company yesterday. So hopefully this is on our way.
I'm not convinced it's always win-win. I'm not convinced that's always the way to go. Unfortunately, the reality is in Canada, especially in the big city areas, you can't build subways and go bus designated lanes and LRTs and roads fast enough to develop and meet the demand in the population. Our infrastructure, as you said, is way behind. So we have to, if we can't build it fast enough, we have to come up with other solutions to keep things flowing because they've done all these in-depth studies. We are losing billions of dollars in productivity every year for being stuck in traffic.
I really do feel like Ontario needs to give up the attachment to as many millions of people that we have and start trying to encourage people to move to other provinces.
But that's not reality. I know,
I don't
but
mean
that's
it's
not
like
going to
get out.
happen.
I mean, like Ontario just started a new working relationship with New Brunswick, and we're going to send out some guys here, and then hopefully you can meet a nice family or get it yourself structured in a white picket fence, and you'll stay in Moncton forever. Like, and we might have to get to that point because, yes, we can complain about bad deals. Yes, we can complain about highways and infrastructure being behind. But the real problem is there's too many people in this area, Jim.
But Brady,
that's the problem.
Look at this is the economic engine of the nation: manufacturing, media, finance, like entertainment. So all these major industries, the epicenter is on Southern Ontario. That's the reality of it. And I mean, I'm with you. Like, in a perfect world, we'd have
stretch some of this out.
I mean, the province tried this. That's one thing Mike Harris did. Everything was centralized in Toronto, and they put the MTO in St. Catharines. They put the OLG in Sudbury. So they moved it around to different parts of the province, so it wasn't all clumped in Toronto. But there's still so much business and so much money and so much investment in infrastructure in the Southern Ontario region that until other areas of the country have a huge car plant or a data center or you name it and a reason to go there, this is where the jobs and the money are.
It's like I said, I love it because I'm in Ontario, so there's lots of opportunity, right? I would be a hypocrite to say that I don't want lots of business going on here, and I don't want the highways to be full of people that are on their way and commuting, and everybody's doing something and generating an income. But it does get to the point where, like you said, you're now, if you have to pay $1,700 a month to give yourself a few extra hours a week,
a few hours. Look, Brady,
I don't know if the jobs and opportunities are worth it.
If they get to the point where they move major job centers to Moncton, to Moose Jaw, to Prince George, BC, to Chicoutimi, Quebec. So there's areas of the country where you don't have to live in Southern Ontario and you could build a career and build your job resume in those other areas. And like, that's part of the problem. You have to set the industry in other parts for people for a reason to go there.
So in the early 90s, really a group of really smart people sat down and said, hey, we got to do something about this 401. This thing is going to eat itself. It's going to implode. We got to get something going. And they come up with this really good idea let's make a toll highway. And then they sell the land and they sell the highway and then they buy it back somewhat. But we can't actually buy it out.
No.
So we're stuck in a position where we either need to slowly keep increasing rates, do something extreme like let the trucks drive on it for free.
That's my vote.
And I just don't like seeing things that are subsidized get more subsidies.
But what is
and I don't mean that as a whole. Like there's some things that should get more money,
Brady,
that's in more funding. But I mean,
we can't keep going with the way it is. We can't. It's not workable. Unfortunately, until they, as Nick said, build more credible transit solutions for people, that's still, you can have that. That's great, but you're still going to have all those trucks chewing up the 401 every day.
This might be the best answer. Like I said, it's not that I love it, and I'm not crapping on your answer. I think you brought one because at least you brought one. Nick brought one too, but I like yours a little bit better than Nick's.
But no, Brady, this is part of the problem in a war room think tank with all the experts. Everyone's going to be passionate about what they think is the solution. But at the end of the day, all levels of government and academics and the experts in the field of logistics and transportation have to get together and come up with a better way, not just for the 407, 401 in Southern Ontario, but start applying it all across Canada.
It everywhere.
Yes, apply it everywhere.
Apply it everywhere. So hopefully Alberta or Vancouver is not going to see a toll road come anytime soon. That's not already there right now because it sounds like we don't know how to build a new one because we would be doing a deal like this again.
Well, I know from like when you're going from Dartmouth to Halifax and going on the Angus L. MacDonald Bridge, there's a toll.
There's a toll, and there's tolls in Vancouver too. Like there's tolls out there, but I mean, there's nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
There's no $1,700 a month to get to work and back, right? Just to make sure that you have a couple extra hours with your kids. But thanks, Jim, for sitting down and trying to come up with a solution for me. The great thing about this, though, is that we have an open comment section.
Perfect.
which means we're going to get a lot of solutions. Hopefully, in that comment section, they're going to call me and you names. They're going to call me and you brilliant and everything in between.
And the best part about this, I'll get on the 427 and the 407 before it gets too busy.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
You're the best, brother.